Hi, and welcome to today's Daily Chronicle. Today is Thursday, December 19th, 2024. Two people and the suspect are dead in Wisconsin school shooting. Emergency vehicles are parked outside the Abundant Life Christian School in Madison, Wisconsin, where multiple injuries were reported following a shooting on Monday. A shooter armed with a handgun opened fire at Abundant Life Christian School in Madison, Wisconsin, leaving at least 3 people dead and 6 more injured, police said Monday. A teacher and a student were killed, and 2 students currently face life-threatening injuries. The suspect was among those found dead after the shooting, which began shortly before 11 a.m. at the school, which houses students from kindergarten through high school. Police Chief Sean Barnes says a suspect, a teenage student at the school, was found dead, believed to be by a self-inflicted shot. Barnes said police did not fire their weapon and the campus did not have a police school resource officer. Four additional students have non-life-threatening injuries. But these are just the physical injuries that we know about, Barnes said in the afternoon press conference. We know that this was the middle of a school day, so there will be other injuries we have to face for a long time. He said his department would not rush to interrogate students in the wake of the shooting, as officers wanted to give the children time to process the incident. Barnes said that it was still unclear what the shooter's motive was, but the suspect's family was so far cooperating with the investigation. The police department is in the process of conducting interviews and obtaining search warrants. But I think we can all agree that enough is enough. And we have to come together to do everything we can to support our students. To prevent press conferences like these from happening again and again and again, he said. Officials said they would not yet disclose identifying information about the shooter, including their grade, gender, or exact age, while the investigation continues. Madison Mayor Sata Rhodes Conway said White House officials had been briefed on the shooting and offered their support. She said that for now, her primary focus is on supporting the victims and their families in the coming days and weeks. I am on record that I think that we need to do better in our country and our community to prevent gun violence, Rhodes Conway said. I hope this day would never come to Madison. Rhodes Conway urged anyone dealing with mental health struggles to seek the help and support they need. Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers said he is closely monitoring the incident. In a post on X, he wrote, "We are praying for the kids, educators, and entire Abundant Life School community as we wait more information and are grateful for the first responders who are working quickly to respond. Before Monday's shooting, there had been at least 81 school shootings in the United States in 2024, according to a CNN analysis. According to the school's website, Abundant Life Christian School focuses on providing quality Christian education to the some 200 families represented in the student body. In a post on its public Facebook page, the school requested prayers in the wake of the violence. Today, we had an active shooter incident at ALCS. We are in the midst of following up. We will share information as we are able. City Church of Madison, which shares a campus with the school, said because of the shooting, there will be no activities or events held Monday evening, but Tuesday night prayers would resume as normal. Arctic tundra now emits planet-warming pollution, federal report finds. The Arctic tundra is warming up, and that's causing a long frozen ground to melt as well as an increase in wildfires. The region is now emitting more carbon than it stores, which will worsen climate change impacts, explained NOAA Administrator Rick Spinard in a statement. Arctic tundra, which has stored carbon, for thousands of years, has now become a source of planet-warming pollution. As wildfires increase and hotter temperatures melt long frozen ground, the region is releasing greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. The finding was reported in the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administrator's Annual Arctic Report Card released Tuesday. The new research, led by scientists from Woodwell Climate Research Center in Falmouth, Massachusetts, signals a dramatic shift in this Arctic ecosystem, which could have widespread implications for the global climate. The tundra, which is now experiencing warming and increased wildfire, is now emitting more carbon than it stores, which will worsen climate change impacts, NOAA Administrator Rick Spinner says in a press release. This is yet one more sign, predicted by scientists, of the consequences of inadequately reducing fossil fuel pollution. The finding doesn't surprise Rosine Comain, a climate scientist at Columbia University who was not involved in the research. She said polar scientists knew this could happen, but she said it's concerning to see the shift take place. It means that the CO2 will keep going, Coman said. We won't be able to do much about it. Wildfires are increasing in the Arctic, like this one in Alaska Yukon's Flat National Wildlife Refuge in June 2024. The Arctic is warming faster than the global average for the 11th year in a row, according to the report card. The warming directly influences global sea level rise, weather patterns, wildlife migrations, and other effects of human-caused climate change, all driven primarily by burning fossil fuels. This year's report comes as President-elect Donald Trump prepares to take office in January. Trump has said he wants to increase oil exploration and drilling in the Arctic and curtail government action on climate change. Sue Natali, a scientist at the Woodwell Climate Research Center and contributor to the Arctic Report Card, declined to comment on the incoming administration. But she said this year's report demonstrates the importance of reducing greenhouse gas emissions and continuing climate change research. This is not an issue that of what party you support, said Natalie. This is something that impacts everyone. Here's some key takeaways from this year's Arctic Report Card. Arctic tundra, carbon sink to carbon source. Permafrost is full of carbon that has been locked away by plants over millennia. But last year's permafrost temperatures were the second warmest on record, hastening melting of the frozen soil. Once the ground thaws, microbes in the soil become active and consume the newly available carbon. Releasing into the atmosphere as methane and carbon dioxide. Twila Moon, lead editor of the Arctic Report Card and a scientist at the National Snow and Ice Data Center, likened permafrost to chicken in the freezer. As long as it stays frozen, microbes stay away. Once you have that chicken out of your freezer, it's thawing, and all those microbes are getting to work, breaking down the chicken, making it rot, she said. The permafrost is really doing the same thing. Brendan Rogers, a scientist at the Woodwell Climate Research Center, who contributed to the Arctic Report Card, said emissions from the region are likely to continue as the climate warms. The concern is with intensifying wildfires, with warming temperatures, that we will see more emissions in the future. He said, wildfires in North America permafrost regions have increased in recent decades. Since 2003, emissions from the polar wildfires have averaged 207 million tons of carbon per year. That's more than the annual carbon dioxide emissions of some industrialized countries, including Argentina and Austria. Wildfire smoke adds pulses of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere while also speeding permafrost melt. An estimated 1.5 trillion tons of carbon remain stored in permafrost, more carbon than all the trees in the world's forests, according to Natalie. So melting permafrost could potentially become a massive source of greenhouse emissions that can contribute to climate change. But there is still time to slow the thaw, Rogers says. With lower levels of climate change, you can get lower levels of emissions from permafrost, he said. That should motivate us all to work towards more aggressive emission reductions. Greenland ice sheet melting is pretty devastating. Greenland's ice sheet lost between 22 and 77 billions of tons last year. That's the lowest level of ice loss since 2013, thanks to above average snowfall. The downside is still enough ice water to raise global sea levels by about 0.15 millimeters, according to Moon. While that may not sound like much, Moon pointed out that sea level rise is contributing to coastal erosion, flooded roads, disruption of sewer systems, and contamination of drinking water. The Greenland ice sheet is massive, nearly 2 miles thick at its thickest point, and its melting is the second largest contributor to global sea level rise. The largest contributor is water expanding as it warms. Greenland's relentless contribution of water will be pretty devastating for global sea levels, said Moon. Arctic seals are doing okay. Caribou, not so much. Ice seals populations remain healthy despite warming water and declining sea ice. Seals seem to be adapting to the changing climate by eating more warm water fish. Said Moon. But we don't know how well they can continue to adapt as warming continues, she said. A group of caribou in the western Arctic caribou herd along a winter trail between the villages of Sellywick and Ambler. Within Sellywick National Wildlife Refuge, the herd migrates through and sometimes winters on the refuge. Not all Arctic animals are faring as well. Inland caribou populations have declined by 65% over recent decades. According to the report card, one main reason is that they're often eating less. Arctic winters are getting wetter, and freezing rain can create an icy crust on the snow. It's often not worth the energy for caribou to break through the ice for a nibble of the lichen found underneath. Hotter summers have also led to more mosquitoes. The bugs can become so annoying that the caribou focus on avoiding them, fleeing to icy, windy areas, for instance, at the expense of eating. As a kid, I hated playing sports. As an adult, I fell in love with them. NPR host Juana Summers after running the Baltimore 10-miler. I didn't grow up as an athletic kid. In grade school, my mom signed me up for soccer and basketball teams, but I was a better bench warmer than anything else. Gym class gave me hives. Annual fitness tests, I'd rather stick my head in a book. These feelings continued in early adulthood. I didn't work out voluntarily for years. And when I did, I didn't find any joy in it. As I got older, it changed. I started taking group fitness classes, experimenting with different types of workouts, and meeting people along the way. I was also figuring out what made my body feel good. I started lifting weights, honing in on good technique, and thrilled in my ability to lift a few more pounds or add a few more reps. Running came later. I started alone, then found community in a local running group. I love the runs, but the people make the miles fly by. My own journey got me thinking about the fact that you can find your way to fitness or movement at any age. You don't have to be an active kid to be an active adult. And I want to make sure I can be as active as I can for as long as I can. Over the past month, I've spent a lot of time with active older people, learning about the benefits and even bliss they found in exercise. I've also talked to experts who focus on fitness for an older population. Even though I'm in my 30s, they taught me a lot about what it means to be active as we age and to live well. NPR host Juana Summers didn't grow up as an athletic kid, but when she got older, she found joy in movement. Just Start. We've reported our series on older adults. We spoke to more than a dozen people over the age of 50 about their fitness journeys. We asked many of them a question. What advice would you give someone who's looking to jump into a new fitness activity? Deb Sauer, 83, is a competitive swimmer who picked up the sport in her 50s after getting sober. Her advice: don't be scared. You can't let fear stop you from achieving anything, Sawyer said. You have to use the fear as something to energize you and invigorate you in order to take the risk. She also encourages people to start small. Anybody that's starting out, take little steps. I couldn't have done it the first day I started. I couldn't even get halfway across the pool, she said. But I trusted the swim coach that said, you are strong and you can do this, rather than listening to the voice in my head that was saying, get out of here, girl, you don't belong. Exercise can create and strengthen social ties. We spent time early one morning at a mall in Annapolis, Maryland, with a group of women who have spent years walking side by side together, 5 days a week. The walks got them out their front doors, but the community kept them coming back. "81-year-old Anita Seidner has been walking at the mall for 20 years. She and the other women said it was the walking community at the mall that keeps them going. Knowing that we have people here waiting for us is what gets us here," Seidner told me. "I don't always want to get up and walk, but I got these two waiting for me." And the community extends beyond the walls of the Annapolis Mall. Snyder and her friends, Evelyn Book and Annette Smith, who are both in their late 70s, are all in a group text. When they miss seeing fellow walkers on the daily routine, they are quick to check in and make sure everyone is okay. If somebody has a grandchild or someone has an illness or something, if you want to send them a card, they'll get the address, Snyder said. She's called the mall walking community a big family, an extended family. Mona Noyes, 86, works out with trainer Emily Sokolinski at 5x3 training in Baltimore. Strength equals independence. Mona Noyes is an 86-year-old we met at 5x3 training, a strength and conditioning gym in Baltimore. Her advice for newcomers: it's never too late to get started. Noyes worked at a large school district until her late 70s. After she retired, Noyes said she became less active and daily tasks became more difficult. Her confidence in her body and independence dropped. Then her daughter suggested she try working out with a trainer. "I am doing things now that I have never even thought about doing before," she said. Her trainer and 5x3 owner, Emily Solkinski, emphasized the quality of life benefits of remaining active. "So many people, when they retire, they stop. They stop moving. They stop going out. They stop engaging with other people," Sokolinski told me. "The worst thing you can do is stop. And the strength training is so important because it gives you back that confidence in your body." Noyes said she's gained a lot of strength. "Simple tasks that used to be a challenge are becoming easier again. I could creep up the stairs holding both hands," she told me. "Carrying things, even a regular grocery bag, it was a struggle for me. Now she can carry 4 quarts of milk. A miracle," she says.